Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've uploaded on here, and today we are going to be looking at factoring quadratics. So in this video we are going to cover how to factor quadratics, and we're going to make a few assumptions. The first assumption is that our quadratic is always going to be in standard form. So this is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Later on in videos down the line, we're going to see the different forms of quadratics, and we're going to see how to convert between one form and another, as well as the benefits of every single form. And we are also going to make another assumption, which is that a is equal to 1. So obviously when you have y is equal to 2x squared plus 3x plus 5, for example, well, we can see here that a is different than 1, so this is called a, and it's going to be different than 1 since a is equal to 2 in this case. And in order to factor something like this, we are going to need to use another method. We are going to cover that in future videos, but for now, we are going to stick and focus with a is equal to 1. So let's learn through an example. So I'm going to give an example here. Y is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 32. So what we want to do here, and the way we want to factor this, is we want to find two numbers. We're going to call these numbers j and k, such that j times k will give us c. And what's c? C is 32. Actually, minus 32. So j times k will give us minus 32. And j plus k will give us 4. So in order to figure these two numbers out, we're going to have to think a little bit. And let's think of the possible numbers that when we multiply them together, we're going to get 32. So you have 16 and 2. Well, you can see that there's a large gap between 16 and 2, so there's no possible way that, adding them or subtracting them, or perhaps putting one as minus and the other as plus, there's no possible way that we're going to get 4. So we can forget about this. Similarly, uh, so we can forget about this. In the same fashion, 32 and 1 will not work since there's too big of a gap between them. Well, what about 8 and 4? We can see that 8 times 4 is equal to 32, and the gap between them is indeed 4. Since 32 is negative, one of them has to be negative, and when we add them together, the value has to be positive. So for this reason, we have minus 4 and positive 8 as our two numbers. Why minus 4 and positive 8? Well, 8 times minus 4 will give us minus 32, and 8 plus minus 4 will give us 4. Now that we have our two numbers, we can go ahead and perform our factoring. So we have y is equal to x minus and x plus. So in these two slots, we're just going to substitute our two numbers. So we have x minus 4 and x plus 8. And we can see that we have changed nothing, by the way, from the equation above. So if I go ahead and expand, I'm going to have x squared plus 8x minus 4x minus 32. And this will simplify to the original equation. So I haven't changed anything mathematically. However, now I can find my roots very easily. And recall that roots are basically the values of x that make the entire equation the entire equation equal to 0. So the roots in this case will be 4 and minus 8. Why 4 and minus 8? Well, if I replace 4, look what happens. Y is equal to 4 minus 4 times 4 plus 8. 4 minus 4 is equal to 0. 0 times anything is 0. In the same fashion, if I replace x by minus 8, I'm also going to get y is equal to 0. So for these reasons, 4 and minus 8 are our two roots. When working in quadratics, you're always going to have two roots. And the reason is because the highest power is equal to 2. When we have other equations where the highest power is equal to 3, for example, well, we're going to have 3 roots. If we have the highest power equal to 4, we're going to have 4 roots, and so on. So you should always get 2 roots when you're factoring quadratics and trying to find their roots. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to check out some of our other videos, as we're going to be doing an entire series on quadratics and mastering quadratics. In the next video, we will cover what happens when a is different than 1, and we will start to look at some of the other forms that quadratics can take.